What's up guys, my name's Liam and today we're going to be taking a look at the different sizes of the Pulsar Xlite V3. They have a size 1 which is the smallest, size 2 which is more of a medium, and a size 3 which is the largest of the three. Now I've already done an in-depth review on the Pulsar Xlite V3 on my channel, and in fact last year I even named it the Ergo Mouse of the Year since it is my current favorite shape out there. So in this video I'm going to do a quick comparison of all the three, and then we're going to be diving more deep into the overall size of these, what they kind of compare to on the market. That way, hopefully, I'll be able to help you decide which one of these three options is going to be the best one for you. So let's check them out. And before we get started today, I did want to let you know these were all sent out to me by Pulsar. However, that's never going to change the outcome of my videos. Everything you're going to be hearing in this will be my own words and my own opinions. In the box of all these, you're going to be pretty much getting the same thing. It's got a calling card, a sticker, a user manual. Then these all come with a white USB-C cable if you do get the white colorway, and they each come with the 1K receiver and a dongle adapter. And if you do want access to the 2K or the 4K polling rate, you'll need to purchase the 4K dongle separately. This comes in at around $20. As I've been going back and forth testing all three of these, it's really impressive that Pulsar did such an incredible job on these. I don't notice any major outliers when it comes to any type of build quality issues or anything like that. All three of these copies feel solid. The clicks on them, they feel really good out of the box. I'm not getting any of that sticky feeling, any mushy feeling, any type of the slow rebound on my switches or anything like that. So they do feel nice and snappy. This new encoder on the scroll wheel on all three of these copies, it honestly feels really good. And the side buttons on these, they all feel really good in my opinion as well. There is one slight difference between all three of these, and it is incredibly minor. But just on smaller mice in general, I do feel like the tolerances are just a little bit tighter, just due to the fact that you do have, smaller surface area to work with here. Just obviously basic common knowledge, plastic that's smaller is going to be harder to bend, and when you get a larger surface area of plastic, it is going to bend just a little bit easier. But again, nothing that's major, but a little bit tighter on the smaller version here. I do get just a little bit more play, very minimal on the size 2, and then even come over here on the size 3, you do just get slightly a little bit more play as well. But again, nothing is bad. Everything feels great on all of these. Post-travel, pre-travel feels really solid where it should be. The click implementation on all three of these copies honestly just feels great all around, even on the side buttons. And again, the side buttons on the larger copy, I do get just slightly a little bit more play, but honestly nothing bad. And they do feel just a little bit tighter here on the smaller one, but very close either way all around. And I really think that Pulsar has done an incredible job with these. And when it comes to the weight and balance, honestly the balance on all three of my copies, it just feels spot on. Everything feels perfect where it should be. And starting out with the small version on my scale, looks like we got it coming in at 52.7 grams. Coming over here to the medium or size 2, 55.8 grams. And then when it comes to the large or size 3, looks like I got it coming in at about 59.2 grams. The fact that you can pick this up in 3 different sizes is one of my absolute most favorite things about Pulsar. I really feel like this is a huge win. I genuinely wish that every single mouse company out there would do this for every single mouse, every single shape out there. I always prefer to game on smaller mice. Not that smaller mice fit my hand better. I honestly feel like out of all three of these, that the medium size kind of fits my hands just the best and feels the most comfortable all around. Although I do like to game with smaller mice, just because it's smaller, you have more of a free range of motion there with able to make micro adjustments with your fingertip or anything like that. But even as I was using this larger style mouse, there's lots of times that I will test out the larger gaming mice and I'm just like, I just can't do this. But with this mouse, I used it all night long and not once did I swap it out, again, just because of how awesome this shape is. Even with its large size, the way that it aggressively flares down to the rear, I was able to grip this nice and comfortably. And as you can see, I could even move up pretty far forward on my grip there. So there was never a time where I was using this and I'm like, it's messing up my aim, it's just too big for me or anything like that. I was actually able to adapt and adjust to it pretty quickly, and I was able to use it very fluidly in my gameplay. So just one thing to note about this, that is one thing that's really cool. But just throwing these up against each other really quick, here is what the small looks like compared to the medium. And again, not a whole lot of difference to talk about in shape here, just all around. As you can obviously see, it is just a larger scale in general. And I really do love the design of these mice. I really feel like they nailed it out of the park with raising up the sidewalls compared to the V2. So I never had an issue where I had the clicks pinching the sides of my fingers or anything like that. But here is the size 2 or the medium versus the size 3. So starting out here, let's kind of talk about the size 1 and where it stands. If you are somebody who likes to use the Razer Viper Mini or smaller style mice, I do kind of feel like all around in general that the overall scale of the size 1 is actually very close to the Razer Viper Mini there. So going back and forth between both of these and holding them in the hands, they do really feel pretty close to one another. Now, obviously the shapes of these are very different. I'm not trying to get into the shape analysis between these very much, but just in general, as you can see there, if you do enjoy the scale of the Razer Viper Mini, I do feel like that the size 1 of the Pulsar Xlite V3 could potentially work out for you. Now, I do know that there are some people, when you do have an ergo style mouse, that they do kind of prefer to use a more larger style mouse that kind of fits your hands more. It can be a little bit more comfortable for you. Now, next up, I'll kind of compare it to my main, which is the Lamzu Maya. I do feel like the overall scale of the Lamzu Maya is just slightly a little bit larger than the Razer Viper Mini Signature Edition. So now let's go ahead and throw up the Logitech G Pro Superlight. I do kind of feel like all around that the G Pro Superlight is a little bit more close to the medium style size. Now, if you were to put these together, the grip width in the front and in the middle, it feels just slightly a little bit wider than the medium size. Obviously, the rear of the medium size is going to be larger. So if you are really a fan of the Logitech G Pro Superlight 2, then the size 2 might be the closest option as far as the overall scale between both of these go. And here we'll throw it up against the larger version. So all around, I do feel like the larger version does feel like just a bit more of a larger mouse. As you can see there, it definitely feels much higher. But even coming over here to the bottom, if I were to put these together, the front width of both of these is pretty close. The size 3 is still going to be a bit wider. So very clearly they're all around just larger than the G Pro Superlight. All right, so now I'm going to compare these sizes to some of its closest other options that are out there on the market. And again, like I mentioned, I've already covered the size 2 or the medium in full detail. I'll go ahead and link that down in the description if you want to see that compared to other medium style shape ergos out there on the market. But coming over to the size 1, the small, let's go ahead and start off with the VAXEE NP-01S. With the size 1, it does noticeably feel a little bit more wide than the NP-01S, but the NP-01S does have that much flatter feeling over here at the top. So if you can look at these from the side profile, the NP-01S is just going to feel much longer in the hands due to the fact of how flat it is, and it does kind of have the hump back here more in the rear. And then next up, when comparing it to the Sprime PM1, I really do feel like both of these options are just absolutely incredible. These are without question probably two of my favorite smaller ergo sizes out there on the market. The Sprime does feel a bit wider than the size 1 of the Xlite V3, but one thing to note here is the side profile here down the right side, it does feel way more flat and actually curves inward, where you do have this lip that kind of sticks out here a little bit more aggressively on the right side of the mouse. But the overall shape between these two, it is quite a bit different, even though they're both ergo styles. As you can see, this is modeled after the G703, so it does still have kind of its hump centralized there in the middle, and the profile on both of these. The top of the PM1 does feel much longer when you're holding it in the hands, and it does fill up your palm a lot more, again, where this drops off more aggressively here to the rear. But overall, both of these mice are just incredible. So at the end of the day, it's just going to come down to which one of these shapes you think is going to work best for you. All right, now let's jump back over to the Xlite V3 size 3, the larger version, and let's go ahead and throw it up against the glorious Model D 2 Pro. If you do have bigger hands and you are looking for one of the largest style ergos out there on the market, I do feel like all around that the Xlite V3 size 3, it does feel wider than the Model D 2 Pro, and as you can just tell here, all around, I do feel like it does feel just slightly a little bit larger when it comes to the overall scale of them. And the shape of these is not very far apart from one another. They do have their slight differences. All right, then finally, when compared to the Razer DeathAdder V3 Pro, I do feel like there's kind of the same thing here, where I don't feel like the scale of these is that far apart from one another, but looking at the bottom here, the Xlite V3 does feel just a bit wider in the hands there for me, coming over to the rear, and then on the sides, the height and just the width, everything about the size 3 does feel just a little bit larger to me than the Razer DeathAdder V3. Alright guys, so that about wraps things up on the Pulsar Xlite V3 on the different sizes of these. Again, my favorite shape on the market. I really feel like this mouse is great regardless of what size that you do pick. So I would absolutely recommend going and checking it out. And I really hope that this video did help you decide on which option is going to work out best for you. But if it didn't and you have any additional questions, please let me know down in the comments below. If you've enjoyed watching this video and are interested in seeing more videos like this in the future, please drop this video a like and subscribe to my channel. And thank you guys so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.